The Amazing Spider-Man 2 hits AMC Theatres everywhere on May 2nd, and writer Roberto Orci is already talking about the upcoming Sinister Six and Venom movies. In a recent interview with IGN, Orci talked about the origin of all these characters by saying this: Oscorp plays an important part in how our villains get created, obviously in the first one. So because Peter becoming Spider-Man came out of that, rather than saying, and then this alien came from space, or whatever, they're doing human hybrid weird stuff at Oscorp. That's where Gwen Stacy works anyway as well. So the idea of it representing the good and the bad of science, that it can do great things, but it can also mess you up and do weird things and transform people, as all science can be used for good or bad. So it's nice to have that organizing principle, but it wasn't like we must keep it at Oscorp. It flowed naturally from the story development. Dennis, what do you think about the concept of tying all the origin stories to Oscorp?
First of all, I want to give a shout out to our friend Roth Cornett, who actually conducted this interview.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yes.
And then for what he said, yeah, I think it makes sense. I like it. I think in terms of the storyline for the movies, it makes more sense that it comes from one place versus having all these different origin stories for all these different villains. It's great for the comic books,
right,
you know, but it almost gets kind of silly if you put it in the movie context. Like this guy, this thing happened to him, and then this guy, you know, fell on some electricity, or this guy,
this guy fell on some electricity.
You know, like suddenly it just becomes more comical,
right,
instead of realistic. And so I think with the Oscorp thing, I think taking all the villains that are going to be in the Sinister Six and having them come from one place, I think makes sense.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. See, it's great. I love that you pointed this out. It's great in the comic books when you have, you know, you have 8 years and 500 issues that you can cover origin stories for each individual guy and go into some detail. You got a couple of movies. You got a whole bunch of key characters. And look, as much as I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, notwithstanding the third terrible one, but it was getting pathetic that every single villain in that Spider-Man universe had almost the exact same pattern of an origin story. It's a good man who gets caught up in an unfortunate situation, and then something bad happens to him that transforms him into a bad guy. And copy, repeat, copy, repeat, copy, repeat. And they did that for every single one of their villains. And it gets a little tiring. I love the idea that they've set up this universe where they have almost like a spark point, and that spark point is going to be Oscorp. That everything that happens there is going to stream out from there and whatever their grand scheme is, which we still don't know what that is, really. So I like the fact that they're going to connect all these things to one thing, because it's also less coincidental that way, right? Like, oh, in the same year that this guy fell on some electricity and became Electro, across town, this guy accidentally ate a piece of rhino poop, and he became the Rhino. At the same time that this guy accidentally
I do want to see this
Goblin.
rhino poop origin story.
I have sent in my script ideas to Sony. I'll see if they get back to me on that. But I like that they've got an already built-in story mechanism in Oscorp that they can have all of this stuff come out of, and it just makes sense. And then we don't have to get into some big convoluted thing about how, you know, the Sinister Six all come together. Somebody in the chat was asking, well, wait a minute, what about Venom and the alien symbiote? Will it still be an alien entity? I don't know. It does open the door that Oscorp does. I mean, this Spider-Man universe, it isn't really necessary for the Venom entity to have come from outer space. Although, it still makes perfect sense that it did come from outer space and Oscorp got their hands on it and then manipulated it by bonding it to a human being and making that happen. So there's still a lot. How do you think they're going to handle the Venom thing?
I mean, either way, I think I'm fine with it. Whether they created it in their own labs or if they found it and then, you know, they're holding it. I think the big question is the symbiote going to go to Peter Parker first before it goes to Venom, or is it going to go straight to just Venom?
I got a feeling they won't. I got a feeling they're going to skip over the Peter Parker part. I have a feeling. I don't know that for sure.
I see a lot of fanboys getting really angry.
Oh, a lot of fanboys will get very angry. Yes. But once again, you know, the hardcore fanboys, we are the vast minority. And it really, and as a fanboy, ultimately is, does it work? That's all I care about, is does it work? Because they did it the right way in Sam Raimi's third Spider-Man film, and that sucked. So if doing it the wrong way makes it a good movie, then by all means do it the wrong way. I don't really care.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.